What's up? Locked On Ole Miss. I'm Clint, Locked On Bulldogs, covering Georgia. I'm here to tell you what Georgia thinks of Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss program, and why we might smell a little fear in the water down at Ole Miss. All that and more next. Locked On Ole Miss.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, y'all. My name is Clint at Dogs Podcast. We appreciate you being here. Everyday listeners, thank you so much to being here as Steven takes care of some life. We appreciate you being here. We love him. Steven Willis is one of my favorite hosts at Locked On, so I'm glad to be here on the show. Everydayers, we appreciate you. First listeners, we appreciate you. Those who wake up and cannot wait to download Ole Miss. You guys got quite a following over here, and Steven Willis is the main reason for that. And then those of you who listen all the way to the Loyal Third segment, we call them Loyal Third segment listeners over on our channel. We love all the way to the end because there's a little bit more banter on the back end. Get you the news up front, and then the back end kind of have some more partying. We call it the mullet effect. You know what that means. I am here today talking about what Ole Miss is viewed as by Georgia fans and Georgia coaches and Georgia football team. I'm going to do this in three parts. One, I'm going to talk about a little bit smelling some fear in the water, some blood in the water of Ole Miss, according to Georgia, how we view the program, how we view last year, what we think of Lane Kiffin as fans and what Kirby Smart thinks of Lane Kiffin as fans, and then what we think of the Loomers, the all of you over here on Locked On Ole Miss, what fans think of fans, because I think we can all agree. Let me just give you a little, that's the Loyal Third segment. Let me give you a little hint as to that. Tennessee fans, the worst. Florida is a close second. Alabama fans have tempered down a little bit ever since they got punched in the gut, tasting blood in their own mouth. It's a little harder to swallow than before. So they're not as bad as they once were. Kentucky fan is delusional, and their basketball season is now perpetually in effect. We're going to tell you what we think, fans of the Loomers, at the end. That's for the third segment. Let's begin with the smell of fear. Now, this is really interesting to me. Ole Miss last year, I came on the show with Steven Willis. I talked about it afterwards. When Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss beat Georgia last year, I gave all the credit in the world to Lane Kiffin. I came on the show beforehand. I gave Steven a little heads up. I said, man, I really hope Lane takes points when he can, doesn't gamble for it, learns from his mistakes, doesn't try to be Lane Kiffin of old, but be Lane Kiffin of new. Grow up a little bit as a coach, a head coach, not just an offensive genius, which I think Lane Kiffin is, in fact, an offensive genius. There's no doubt about that. And we saw that last year. He took points when he needed to take points. He didn't gamble unnecessarily. He gambled when he needed to. And he controlled the game. He had a great plan of attack on both sides of the ball. Georgia's offense last year was horrendous. Carson Beck was a basket case in the head. Running backs injured galore for Georgia. Branson Robinson, Roderick were not in effect. Etienne also in and out of the injury tent for some time. We had to depend on Nate Frazier. Our trenches were not good. Offensive line got manhandled by y'all. And our defensive line couldn't stack up. And this is what's wild to me. Everybody wants to talk about, everybody who doesn't watch football wants to say Lane Kiffin is this air raid, air it out guy. And again, you don't bring in a big old defensive lineman on every fourth down, run the ball because you don't like running the ball. Ole Miss controlled the line of scrimmage against Georgia in a fantastic way. It all starts in the trenches. And Lane grew up from my vantage point in that game. I give him all the flowers in the world. Now, here's what's interesting. And it'll be interesting to hear in the comments. It'll be interesting to hear the feedback because from Georgia's perspective, it's kind of like that saying, if you swing at the king, you better connect. You better absolutely land it. If you're going to swing, don't miss. Now, I think what happened for Ole Miss, Jackson Dart, first-round talent, going to go ahead and I think, by all indications, get drafted in the first round, have a very successful career. It seems like a lot of teams are after him. A lot of teams are excited for him. And if that's the case, that means Lane Kiffin had a first-round talent quarterback on his roster. Point one. Point two, I really liked the running back room for Ole Miss last year. I know there was a transfer portal, kind of a war of attrition, guys leaking out, but I really liked the running game last year. I thought it was effective, and the offensive line I thought was very, very effective, especially against Georgia, against upper tier talent. Wide receivers did their job admirably. Defensive line, whew, man, talk about some dudes off the edge who can absolutely get after it. They did a great job as well. Now, it was likely, I'm not in the weeds as much of depth, so I can't speak to the depth of the roster talent, but I can say talent-wise, it was one of Ole Miss's most talented roster, possibly, probably, likely, the most talented roster Ole Miss Lane Kiffin has ever seen for Lane Kiffin. The schedule stacked up pretty nice for Ole Miss. Got some teams on the schedule last year that weren't so great. Got big games, Georgia at home, took care of business there, but then faltered and didn't take care of business on the back end on some very, very, not just winnable, but highly, highly advanced in the favor of Ole Miss. And they didn't make the playoffs. They didn't win a playoff game. They didn't win the SEC. They don't have Ole Miss didn't have much to show for a very talented roster and a coaching expertise that Lane grew on. Now, here's why Georgia and the fan base smells blood in the water with Ole Miss. We're not expecting a massive drop-off like you're all of a sudden going to win 2 or 3 games a year. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is because, by the way, y'all got some talent in the quarterback room and skill positions on Lane Kiffin are going to be the same. That's not my question mark. My question is the most talented roster, a exceedingly maturing coaching staff, and that was the best to show for it. I just have a question. Is this year's roster better than last year's? Winning the portal is one thing for 1 year. Some guys coming back, some other guys going on the draft, some other guys not suiting up for Ole Miss next year. That was the most talented roster. Is the roster better this year? I think that's a huge question mark that Ole Miss has to answer. I would say no. From my perspective, and you tell me how I'm wrong, just roster composition. Not saying expected wins. Not even saying coaching, because Georgia had its worst roster under Kirby Smart. Not the worst. The first couple of years, pretty bad. We did have Grayson Lambert at quarterback. Last year's talent on Georgia's roster was depleted and ransacked by the portal. It was bad. Kirby Smart and company had the coaching acumen to get into the playoffs, get a close-ish game against Notre Dame. It wasn't that close. Got decimated in the trenches again against Notre Dame. 2 plays really, really affected that game. But Kirby Smart said this was the best coaching he's ever done at Georgia. His coaching staff, it was the best they ever did because the talent composition wasn't there. So is Ole Miss talent better? I say no. Our perspective is it's not. Jackson Dart was a really good quarterback. He had incredible control over the offense and good decision-making, especially against Georgia, as well as a complete toughness that I really like to see. And like I've already mentioned, the offensive line did very, very good. The defense, I think, takes a step back for Ole Miss as well. I think just looking, again, you can go on any site, get talent composition as well as top tier, high-end guys, ceiling guys that just blow the roof off. Okay. All right. I have some question marks there. And the coaching staff, Lane Kiffin may have matured more this offseason, but is he really going to be able to step forward? Has he shown historically that he's the guy that's not just X's and O's schematically on offense, but he can get guys playing within a system so incredibly well that he's going to go ahead and get them to play above themselves? Because I think that's what they're going to have to do. So for Georgia fans, our perspective is there's blood in the water. It smells kind of like fear, because if Lane couldn't do it last year, what's saying he could do it this year? It's going to have to take a huge leap up in some assistant coaches, in some of the new guys, some of the younger guys coming in that haven't been proven or tested yet, haven't proved that they can go ahead and perform, establish the run and the line of trenches, and the defense has to show up in a big way as well, because that's always been Lane Kiffin's thing. His stereotype, he can play offense, but defense, he's getting a little bit kind of like I hate to say this, kind of like a Brian Kelly type situation. Brian Kelly doesn't have a complete team. Most of the time he has one side of the ball that's really good. The other side really sucks. So from my perspective, I think Ole Miss takes a step back. And if they take a step back, how are they going to pounce forward again? Are they building up? They're building down. Right now, the needle's pointed slightly down. I want to see Lane do well, because I actually have a lot of respect for him now. Not against Georgia, but I have a lot of respect for him. and this team is talented. The status of the program might not be as high, according to us, as others may think. Tell me why I'm wrong in the comments. Let me know. Hey, we're going to come back after this. I'm going to let you know what Kirby Smart thinks of Lane. That's what a fan thinks. I'm going to tell you what Kirby Smart thinks of Lane and why it's really important because of how they're going to match up. But first, these. All right, y'all. Clint here, Locked On Bulldogs, taking care of the seat today for Stephen Willis. Steve, we love you, man. Get better. Love you to death. We love the Loomers as well. Glad to be here with you all. I'm talking what Georgia fans think of Ole Miss. That was segment one. Segment two, what does Kirby Smart think of Lane Kiffin? And then at the end, what we think of you all, the listeners, the actual fans of Ole Miss. And let me tell you what Kirby Smart thinks of Ole Miss. It's really unique to me. It's really, really fascinating, actually, truth be told, because Kirby Smart, I genuinely believe, and this is not, there are some coaches that he says he has respect for. He doesn't. Let me just tell you, I'll give you a case in point of somebody he doesn't have respect for. And it's telling every single year because Kirby Smart plays with the most vanilla of situations, doesn't want to exhaust his guys, doesn't want to put miles on tread, doesn't want to do any of that, wants to get in with a win because he know he can and get on out and go home and do other things. And it's Kentucky. It's Stoops at Kentucky. Kirby Smart does not fear Stoops one single bit. Every single year, Kirby Smart gets so conservative, gets so ridiculously slow, wants to win in the phone booth. It's 16-13 every single year against Kentucky, I swear. Because Kirby Smart says, you might get a couple on. You might pop one. A missed assignment. Anybody can score on any play with a missed assignment. You might get a few. But I'm telling you, over the whole entire course of the game, you're not going to be able to keep up with us because Stoops wants to play to cover the spread. He doesn't want to play to win. This is Lane Kiffin wanted to play to win against Kirby, and he made decisions to do so, which was really impressive. Stoops just doesn't want to get blown out by Georgia, and so he'll go on 9-minute drives, just taking 3 yards for try to milk the clock and get in field goal range and kick field goals. That's Stoops' entire plan. And then on defense, it's making sure that I'm not looking to turn over the ball. I am looking to make Georgia one-dimensional. And then based on that, I'm going to make sure not to give up anything back in because I've taken so much time off the clock. We've kicked field goals. I'm playing conservative up front. I'm doing 2-gap systems all the way through with linemen. It's a very, very different take for Stoops. And Kirby doesn't fear him because he knows at the end of the day, my guys are going to pop off more plays than your guys. Okay. And you can tell how he talks about Stoops. He does the placation. He does the standard coach speak. He does all of that. All right. With Lane Kiffin, Kirby doesn't do that. I actually genuinely think Kirby has a lot of respect for Lane's offensive game plan. And I think when it comes to Ole Miss time, especially after last year, now the sad thing, Lane, like I hate to bring it to you. Kirby takes every single thing personal in life. Like every single thing Kirby takes personal, and he has enemies everywhere. Him getting absolutely gutted last year. And I still remember the overhead cam down near the goal line, watching just this sea of Ole Miss guys wave over Georgia defenders for a touchdown. Kirby's going to take that personally. And now he's Kirby's project. And we've seen this before. Dan Mullen got the Kirby treatment after getting beat by other players or other coaches have gotten the Kirby treatment where he genuinely disdains them. I don't think Kirby disdains Lane. I do think that they are good friends. I do think the text message stories, all of that is true. Like Kirby blows smoke at a lot of people. He's not blowing smoke there. He really values him as an offensive coordinator, as a formidable opponent. Offensive mind, defensive mind. Kirby likes going against him, and it's a great challenge. But I do think, based on what Kirby has said, based on what the coaching staff has said, and based on how even lack of preparedness Georgia had last year, the good game plan that Lane called, Kirby doesn't think Lane is anything other than one of the best offensive coordinators in the game. You could tell that Kirby believes over sustained success over long term, my program, my culture, my guys will beat you more often than not. You got us here. You prepared really well. This was your home, and you game planned right, and you won this move. But in the chessboard, Kirby knows I got more pieces than you. I believe my technique, I believe my game plan will win in the long run. So not much dissimilar to, I think, how the rest of the nation views Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin as an offensive genius who might suffer other places, especially and this is the one place that, based on interviews and leading up to the game, what Kirby has said, he kind of takes slights at the program base of the Rebels. He believes that Georgia is where it's at because too deep, because guys who want to grind, guys who love football, guys who want to sweat, and Bloody Tuesdays is a real thing at Georgia. It is just massacre over there. It's good on good. This G-Day game that's coming up in the spring for Georgia that's been played, it is not the most exciting point for Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart says, I love practice more than games. Practice is where you make all of it. Games is where you go and you execute. He doesn't, when he talks about Lane, when he gives him flowers, when he talks about Ole Miss, it is not, wow, that's a really tough football team. That's a really grinded out football team. He doesn't say those things. He says that of other teams, Notre Dame, notably. And Notre Dame is a grinded, tough football team that I think is actually going to be here for a long time. He doesn't say that about Lane, doesn't say that about his program there. What he says is talented guys, i.e. transfer portal, i.e. top tier guys, talented, talks about game plan, X's and O's. Doesn't talk about progression and development of players. Kirby will say that about guys like Marcus Freeman, Dan Lanning. He will talk about defensive-minded. He will even talk about Alabama and his respect down there. And it's a different type of respect. So I think why this matters is I think coming into next year and the following years, whenever Georgia and Ole Miss get together, Kirby is going to look possibly at finding ways to exploit toughness and tenacity, not passion of a particular game to get up for at home. And that's what you heard last year from Kirby. They're not digs. It's true things. It was at home. Ole Miss got up for it. Y'all performed incredibly well. Again, flowers to y'all. I think Kirby believes, it's a one-hit wonder. And truth be told, isn't that kind of what Ole Miss has to answer this year? It's going to be answered this year. Who's right and who's wrong? And if it comes back, if it's the same win total or a little less win total, that doesn't feel good. If it's the same win total, we're there again. It might feel good because the roster might not be as talented next year. Lane's still there consistently. Kirby just believes in toughness and making people quit. And he just thinks, you got one on me. That's your one. Now it's my turn. You hit the king once on the chin with a jab, and it was a good one. It set us back. But now let's go. OC Lane. That's just how he speaks, how he talks, what we're gathering as we hear interviews from him. I'm going to let you know what we think, Georgia fans think of Loomers right after these. We are back here, Locked On Ole Miss. Loyal third segment listeners, as we call them over on our channel, we're glad you guys are here. Those who listen every single day and those who can't wait to continue listening for the banter on the back end. I'm not going to let you know about the Loomers. Steven is always over on X. He's always talking to everybody he can about how incredible you guys are. So I just want to let you know, internally, when we're talking, when he gets on squad shows, when we're behind the scenes, we're in pre-production, Steven is talking how gracious and how great you all are. And I just want to tell you, it's true. I think of all the crossovers I look forward to every single year the most, this one is my favorite one. So first and foremost, I actually like you guys. I like talking. You guys are into sports a great deal. You're into, especially Stephen Willis's flavor of sportsdom. It's not what we've colloquially called over on our channel, the collar up wine coolers. Okay. That's what kind of is in the head of people when they think Ole Miss tailgate. It's white polos, collar up, and wine coolers. Now, like it or not, I mean, you could talk about Georgia fans in some way. Tell me what you guys think when you think of tailgate over at Georgia. And I swear, if you're lazy enough to talk about speeding tickets, if you're that lazy, like Ole Miss don't have players who are speeding all over the place, I'm not saying that excuses it, by the way. It's awful, horrible, and needs to stop. But don't be lazy. Talk about something else. But give me comments. Okay. Here's what we think of the fans over of Ole Miss. I like you guys personally. But the fan base of Georgia, if I can be real for a moment, if I can be honest and talk person to person here, Georgia fans don't respect Ole Miss fans. I'm sorry. I like you guys. I like this channel as a collective whole, however. And I think you guys know this. I think all of you men and women out there who are fans who are listening understand that Bama, Auburn, which is weird. Maybe Kentucky doesn't view it the same, but fans kind of think, oh, Ole Miss fan cute. That's just the general feel as you talk to people. Now, again, don't shoot the messenger. I've already stated I like you. I already stated I think you guys, every single time I interact with you guys on Twitter or in the comments, you guys are very smart. Maybe it's because you listen to Steven a lot and he educates you and and you're there. But the rest, it seems more of the let's go get happy hour. If the game isn't close, let's leave so that we can get the boat on the water instead of really die hard fandom. And that is a shame because I don't think that's vast majority. I think last year included the stadium size might have something to do with that. When you look at the stadium, the all-time records for capacity being this last year, I think there's not a lot of long-standing tradition. I think there's tradition of players and maybe there's some historical family ties that people like, but maybe the size of a crowd, maybe the longevity of success, maybe even the fact that there's a lot of guys, Georgia included, who we've reaped the benefits of recruits coming on over to our side who've come played at Georgia from your guys' backyard. Maybe it's like, oh, they can't even keep guys in their own backyard. I know that's what Georgia fans talk about all the freaking time. You got to fence the state, until you realize that Kirby's getting 5 stars from California, and that's great. A 5-star from California is better than a 4-star from Georgia. I don't care. Maybe it's because Ole Miss hasn't been able to fence that. I think that's changing on our lane. He's able to get guys to consider Ole Miss as a far greater deal now, more notoriety, more notable national attention. I am always discouraged when lazy takes happen, and I think that's Georgia fan have a lazy take of Ole Miss fan. Now Daniel and I, again, totally different, but that's just what we feel. That's just we speaking on behalf of Dog Nation feel. What do you guys think of dog fans? Are we those annoying barking at people? Are we the morons that get in arguments about who's that coming down the track or what's that coming down the track? Is that, I mean, that's what people think of when we're in the bathroom line and we're singing the song and people don't know if it's who or what. And people are like, what the heck are you talking about? Why can't you even agree on this? And we have this battle all the time with a damn good dog is. Is he not? Do you claim him? Do you claim Justin Fields or not? Tell me, Georgia fan. You know, it's that sort of thing. It's that really, really bizarre, really, really weird aspect. So tell me what you think of Georgia fan. Are we belligerent idiots? Are we backwoods hillbillies? Are we Johnny come lately, 2 national championships in the last 4 years? Before that, 40 years. Does that really make us something worth notoriety? I will say this, Georgia draft coming up. Georgia is the second most number 1 overall picks out of Georgia. Second most. Did you know that? I did. What's Ole Miss's record on that? See, this is where I get a little snippy. I'm not picking on you guys. This is just fun sports banter. But tell me what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear about them. Steven can tell me. I'll be over on X as well, listening to them the whole bit. Hey, during the season, we're going to be back. We're going to be doing crossovers. I'm really excited for this upcoming year. I looked at the season win totals. I think Ole Miss, if I'm placing a bet, I'm placing an under bet because I don't know at quarterback right now. He looked good in a couple of pinches, that drive where he came in against Georgia when Jackson Dart went out with that injury. Looked good, but I don't know what he is. Is Austin a kid that's gonna supersede all expectations, or is he gonna kind of be another really talented, really athletic guy who can't put it together in a system? Lane is not Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel's system at Tennessee, which, by the way, I've already mentioned, worst fan base is Tennessee and Florida, not you guys. It's one read, two read, and tuck the ball and run. That's just Heupel's system. Lane Kiffin doesn't do that. He has a lot of misdirection, a lot of power run, a lot of get the ball out, quick reads, quick decisions, speed option, read option, kind of with the quarterback, a lot of keeping it most of the time. Can he navigate all that? That's going to be a question that I don't know. I am picking the under this year for Ole Miss. I'm sorry. I think there's a step back. Is that fair? Is that right? I don't know. We'll see. But it's really, really, really wild. Hey, it's been a blast here being with y'all. Appreciate you guys so much. When it comes crossover season in the fall, we'll be back. I'll be talking to you guys. And maybe you'll welcome me back. Maybe you'll say, Steven, never let that idiot back on. I hope I get back on because I love you guys to death. This is Locked On Ole Miss, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day. I hope you guys have a great rest of it, and we'll see you guys later.